Welcome to another 10-minute tip brought to you by the Ohlson Group. This tip is entitled, Here Come the Boomers. Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the marketplace, the boomers. If you've been working in what we call the senior market, which the boomers do not want to be called, that whole group is changing. And it's now time to concentrate on the people that need and want our products. But before you can work with the boomers, you need to truly understand the boomers. And by the way, it may be hard for you to believe, I am a boomer. I've been around the block. Let's take a look at the age groups. The boomers, their birth years, as you can see, 1946 to 1964. Now let's take a closer look at these boomers, and let's look at the boomer DNA. And this information came from USA Today interviews with generational experts. They start out by saying in the characteristics that they're values-oriented, idealistic, work-centric, seeking self-actualization, competitive, the quote, me generation, end quote, and they think they're very special. Now, some people have said compared to the silent generation or the greatest generation, that all we wanted to do was go to Woodstock, everybody smoked dope, free love, and all of that. I missed out on the free love. I don't know where I was. I was working in the car wash while I was in school. But having said that, it still is a group that wanted to change the world, and they have really embraced many of the values of their parents. Let's look more closely. The boomers, events that shaped life. The JFK assassination, you probably remember exactly where you were that day at that time if you are a boomer. The Vietnam War, you may have gone, had friends that went. You may know people that died in that war. The civil rights movement, what a great thing that happened to America. But at the time, it caused confusion. Who would forget Selma, Alabama, Greensboro, the lunch counter sit-in? All of those things happened during the baby boomers' growing up periods. The women's movement. Isn't it amazing today that from Hillary Clinton, from Sarah Palin, to the people that have been elected senators, congressmen, governors, the amount of women that we have in America, in politics, in business, as CFOs, CEOs, would that have happened prior to the baby boomer movement? I don't know. But they also have concerns. Let's take a look. Some of the biggest concerns with baby boomers are, number one, staying in the world that they've become accustomed to. We like this lifestyle, we boomers. We like it. And the thought of having to peel back, pare down, we didn't save enough. We thought we'd have enough money. We were rocking and rolling. The market was hot. And then we got slapped up the side of the head with a ball bat with this latest recession. We lost 40–45%. And because we're rock and roll guys and girls, we were all heavily invested. But now, as the new boomers, the oldest boomers will start retiring in 2011, everyone is looking at their retirement needs, goals, and desires. So what are they? Let's continue. Their three big concerns are, one, retirement needs or the lack of sufficient income. We have to start out by talking about their essential needs. That's the main thing. Hey, listen, bread, butter, food, roof over my head, car, gas, insurance. Let's get that out of the way. If we can get that out of the way, then we can do some other planning. Taxes. They're not sure what's going to happen. Taxes, Social Security, talk about Medicare changes, Medicaid, how will it affect all of us? Inflation. Come on, one thing about the boomers, I mean, they weren't born yesterday. They know that eventually when you borrow money, and we're doing what we're doing, right or wrong, good or bad, forget any political commentary, inflation probably will rear its head at some time, and the buck won't be worth this much. And I think with today's retirees, they would take objection to the concept that there is no inflation because the cost of some food and pharmaceutical drugs continue to increase. Here's some other concerns: health care, chronic illness, and long-term care needs. On the long-term care side, the question that they ask, or the questions, how will they pay for this? Or who will pay for it? Will they move in with the kids? Will the kids pay? That doesn't sound good for anybody, does it? These are all questions that have to be addressed that the boomers are desirous of. Just take a look at this slide. Just some key words. Friends, family, peace of mind. These are three key desires of baby boomers. Friends are so important. They want to be close to friends. That's why everyone in the boomer generation, the Pepsi generation, they're not all moving to Florida. They want to stay close to their friends. And family. Family continues to take on a new meaning. I don't know about you, I have 3 wonderful kids. Many of you know them all. You know, I love them. I wanted them to have a better life than I did. Did I maybe spoil them a little bit? I know I did. Luckily for me, they turned out to be good kids. But I'm going to still worry about them for the rest of my lives. And you will too. So family is important and peace of mind. Let me just relax. But let's look at the boomer decision-making process. As the slide says, they're much different than the greatest generation, which some people call the GI generation, born between 1901 and 1924, and then it goes into the silent generation. And there's a little fold over. Some people say it doesn't start in 1925. It might have been 1928 or 9. But these are people that also went in the war. They grew up in the Depression. They were touched by all of those things, dust bowls, but they make decisions a lot differently than the boomers do. Very trusting generation, worked hard and a handshake was a handshake. So if you've been working with that marketplace, they're going to take you at your word. It's not that the boomers are doubting Thomases, but now we have been thrust into this age of technology. We truly know how to use the internet. Not that the silent generation doesn't, but our generation, it's become second nature because of our children. So what's going to happen with the boomers? They're going to get their own information and or they're going to double check and validate the information that you gave to them. This next slide shows 2 words, the economy, and another word, the econo-she. Now in past videos, we've talked about the economy, making it personal. I want to remind you that this is also the econo-she, because the female in the house is also making bigger decisions. As a matter of fact, since they had that ball bat slapped up the side of their head in the recent market, the spouse, the female who might not have been involved in decision-making process says, Ray, how did this happen? Well, Ann, you know, we had our money. Were you checking on it? Well, yeah, I sort of. Now they want to be involved. So make sure you consider the econo-she when you're talking with them. As we're starting to close here, let's take a look at some of the necessary ingredients for becoming successful in the great boomer market. The first is service. Yes, we're going to do SCIP, S-C-I-P, service, credibility, integrity, profitability. But let's start out with service. Find out, 1, what do they expect? Give it to them in spades. Give it to them before they expect it. Don't give them what they're not asking for. They don't need to be bothered. 2, credibility. We always talk credibility is believability. Being the go-to advisor. How do you become that way? How do you separate yourself from the crowd? You better make sure that your website is good. You ought to consider some white papers. You ought to consider some speaking events. You ought to consider writing a book or an ebook. And then you also want to consider doing videos, as we've done today, that can stream on your website. And you know, with the Ohlson Group, you get a discount. And let's don't forget client appreciation events. They surely do want to be thanked for the business that they have given you. Integrity. That's what you do when no one's looking, right? Better Business Bureau, National Ethics Bureau. Try to let people know that you are a trusting soul. You know, the last is profitability, and it's got to be a win-win for everybody. They don't believe in a free lunch. They also believe that if it's too good to be true, looks too good to be true, it probably is. We have to make sure that we have a good, happy, healthy mix where you're making money and the policyholder, your client, is getting a fair shake as well. It has to be good. So this is a market that you're not going to want to throw the not so good products at. You're going to want to give them the best because word will travel very, very quickly. Hey, thanks for your time. I hope this was of interest. And until next time, good selling.